Dave, Zach was in here. He says he's good to go. He was out there. You expect him, and obviously no Devon Shore, so it's safe to say that Shore's not ready.
I think Cass has to get officially cleared yet, so nobody's told me that yet, but he's feeling good, so I would anticipate he's ready to play. Shore will not play tomorrow. He skated this morning with some injured guys, but probably get through tomorrow. I think he's got a chance next week, hopefully.
Do you feel, is there any advantage, because Calgary, it's their opening game. You've already played a game. Do you find as a coach, is your team a little bit sharper in game 2 compared to a team in game 1?
I don't know. I mean, the first game, there's always, anticipation of getting it going. But like we talked with the team there, we felt like our 3 games before we started were all kind of same routine, jump into it. But that being said, you got the first game is always, the intensity goes up a little bit. And I'm glad we've been through it 1 game already, and we're ready to go. But you have to recognize that Calgary is going to come in with the intensity. They want to get there. Every single coach is talking about getting off to a good start. Whether it's the first game, second game, everybody's saying the same thing. So they'll be no different than us that way. I like that we battled through. We had some things in the game we thought we did all right, and some things that we addressed the last couple of days. So it's we'll have a little skate in the morning and hopefully be ready tomorrow night. And
the plan is Mike Smith to start again in goal?
Yeah.
Dave, over here, Cuckoo's going to play tomorrow with Boucher?
Yeah, I think we'll probably, that's probably a change we'll make. We want to get everybody up and going.
Ryan Smith played here for a long time. Is there any of Ryan Smith and Zach Hyman, the way they're around the net?
Probably around the net, They look different because one's a left-hander, one's a right-hander. But the way they root around that crease, probably a lot of similarities there.
And having Zach back on that line with Fogle and Ryan as opposed to Sevier, what did you like about that line in the preseason? And are they still going to need the first month before they fit in as well as you'd like?
I think they'll continue to get better, but there is a feeling out process of getting it going. But the last exhibition game they played, we thought the line was really strong. So Cass comes in, we talked about this before. He's had a great camp. He's, he battling the injuries last year. He wanted to come in and get going, and he's had a little setback here, but he feels great. He wants to get up and going. So we've liked what that line has done so far. We'll see where it goes in regular season.
Dave, Zach was talking about fighting in the game. You played at a time when there was lots of fighting, and despite the fact they've never outlawed fighting, it's been on the wane for, how long? 20-some years. Where are we with fighting right now, and are you okay with the pace that it's leaving the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's inevitable that it's going to leave. You got, there's different factors in the game, speed of the game, the way the games are refereed. I mean, there's just so many different factors in the declining of it. And one of the biggest, when the decline really took hold, was when they put the no line change after icings, because you used to be able to have, maybe a couple guys that weren't in the flow of the game all the time, but they were there for a reason. And now you need 4 lines that can play at pace, play against anybody. And that's been a factor in some of that, because you've had, for years, I played on TV, everybody had a tough guy, everybody, somebody to take care of the star players. That was the way it's went. And you still take care of your star players, but it's less of on 1 or 2 individuals.
As a talent evaluator, there was a time when a coach or GM would say, if I've got 2 good players and they're pretty equal, but one guy can fight, I'll take the guy that can fight. Is that even a factor anymore?
No, not a factor at all.
Dave, just back here. You came into the season being really high on Evan Bouchard, said he could be a really important part of that defense. What did you see from him in his opening game the other night? Really solid.
There's still some, it's like the rest of our group. There's a couple things that we look at that, little situational stuff that he had the right reads, just got to get the job done. But that happens with every player. but his game continues to grow. I think we played him almost 6 minutes on the PK the other night. I mean, he's a smart kid. He understands what it is. He's just going to continue to get better, but he's the real thing. He's going to continue to get better and be a big part of our team.
I was going to ask about the PK work, giving him all that time when he hasn't had a lot of experience at the NHL level. What did you see there, and what presumably did you like about trying him there that much?
First of all, he's like a sponge. Like, he's in there talking to Jimmy Playfair a lot about just situational stuff. So PK is there's smarts involved with which he has, but there's also, you got to get, it's just experience is a factor there, reading things. So he reads plays very well, and the difference, big difference in his game right now is he's engaged with people. He'll take space away. He reads plays. He's willing to engage people in front of the net. He's willing to step up and block shots. I mean, there's parts of his game that I'm not sure as a junior player anybody ever asked him to do those things, but to be a good two-way player, you have to do those things, and those are the things he's really, he's jumped on board and done them well.
Yeah. Do you anticipate, like you're getting him a lot of PK time, do you anticipate, giving him that other special team time in the power play much?
Yeah, I mean, he's on our second unit. Him and Nursey, they don't get a ton of time, but he's very capable of playing there. Tyson Barrie came in last year and basically led the league in scoring, so he does a pretty good job there too. So we feel comfortable with, I mean, you look at Barrie, and Nurse has obviously got some experience with the guys. Bush is coming. Duncan Keith has run power plays in Chicago, so we have a good lineup of guys that we could use if we needed to.
Dave, over here, is there anything to an offensive player like Bouchard being able to read another team's power play if he's a penalty killer, because he's an offensive guy who would play the point on the power play?
I think that just comes with the smarts. Like, they read all situations pretty well, and with smarts, the one thing that smart players have is anticipation, where they do read the play, so maybe there is some things there that he knows when a puck's going a certain direction. He knows where the shot's going to come from, but for the most part, I think he's really engaged in trying to play the structure we want to play and do it well. So if you're thinking about the power play, those are reads that he probably doesn't think about that way, but maybe there are some reads that help him.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave. We haven't seen Calgary in the regular season yet. They're playing their season opener, obviously, on Saturday. They've gone through some changes in the offseason like everybody. What are your expectations of them?
They're going to come in, and they played just about their whole lineup in here, the last exhibition game in here, so they're going to come in and play a hard forechecking game the way Darryl likes to play, and we know, it's not as if we're unfamiliar with who they are or how they're going to play. Same as usual, it's going to be a hard game.
After last game on Wednesday against Vancouver, you talked about penalties being a bit of a concern, I suppose. Do you have a discussion with your team at all before tomorrow's game? It's the Battle of Alberta. You're playing at home in front of fans, kind of in terms of, making sure you're playing discipline, that sort of thing?
It didn't matter who we were playing next game. We were talking about discipline, and we got to take less penalties. And like I mentioned the other day, it's the things that happen before the penalty that put you in those situations. There's some things we have to clean up there, so we're not in the situation where we have to take the penalty or do take a penalty.
Zach was asked about watching the fight, and he said he watched it multiple times, and he kind of brushed it off as a fluke. I just wonder about kind of that mentality of a guy like Zach, like, not to suggest he's going to go out and fight tomorrow night, but he seems prepared to do it all over again if necessary, even though he went through something that looked really scary.
Yeah, I mean, that's the mentality of a hockey player. You're going to get in play. Can't be scared to play. Zach's been around long enough. He's a veteran guy. He understands his role in the game situation. I mean, when you hit your head, it's obviously brings an extra element to it. But there's a lot of players that get injured that they come back. Like when you break your arm, you don't stop playing because you break your arm. You let it heal and you come back and play again. Don't worry about it. So, but I understand what you're saying about head injuries, or we know a lot more about them now. But he seems fine, he's tested fine, everything has gone through the protocol, so he wants to play.